Good morning. Welcome to the Piedmont Unitarian Universalist Church. Piedmont UU sits on the traditional lands of the Catawba, Kiowa, and Sugaree peoples. My name is Robin Mara, and I'll be worship assistant for Reverend Dr. Amy Rio this morning. We are a flourishing, vibrant, and radically welcoming congregation, which promotes diversity, inclusion, and social justice. We provide a safe haven for creative intellectual growth, spiritual development, and a deep sense of community for all who join us. We hope our liberal religious values will challenge you to join us as a community that lives boldly and acts justly. To all our visitors and members, we're very glad you're here, in person or with us online. And we hope to see you again. Your presence is a gift to us. Our announcements for this Sunday include we will have a church picnic this Saturday at 11:30 at Frank Lisk Park. And please bring some food and drink to share and any outdoor games you have. We'll provide paper products, ice, and chips, and more details are in the weekly announcements. And now Neil Mara is chair of our finance committee, also my better half. He has an announcement for us at this time.
Definitely not better. That's your spot. Good morning, everyone. My name is Neil Mara. And for those who I have not yet met, I'm a longtime member of the church, and as Robin mentioned, I'm her husband. I'm on the board of trustees again, and chair of the church's finance committee. And I want to thank all of you for that opportunity to again serve the members of this church that we've loved for more than 30 years. But today I'm here to talk to you about listening circles. You may have seen these in email announcements and at other places. I'm here to ask that for anyone who has not yet done so, thank you for those who have, to please take a few moments today or in the next few days to sign up for one of our listening circle sessions. The listening circles are a series of discussions with church members to seek your input and your ideas on the best use of funds that we received recently from the sale of church land. The board has asked us at the Finance Committee to gather ideas from members before any decisions are made. The listening circles are that process, and we think it's very important that we hear from as many members as we can, all of us, if possible. The listening circles are designed to be small group discussions lasting about 90 minutes, led by a facilitator and another member as a recorder. We'll share some information on church finances and then talk and ask for your ideas, concerns, and questions. We'll record them and then report all of this to the board. We'd like for these to be small groups so everyone can be heard. To do this, we're asking that you sign up as soon as possible in the next few days if you can, using a brief online form that Deb has set up for this purpose. You can do that by clicking the link in one of the email announcements that's come out, or by using a camera on the QR code for posters that are out in the hallway. And if anyone needs to know how to do that, I'll be happy to show you after the service. You can also do it by filling out one of the forms, the paper forms in your order of service today. Simply circle any of the sessions that you can attend, any and all of them that you can attend. What we'll do after that is we'll arrange for members of each of the sessions. What we're trying to do is keep them as small as possible so everyone can be heard. We only need you to attend one, however. And if you have any questions about all this, I'll be available after the service during coffee hour, and really any time after that. I'll collect these from anyone who wants to fill one out. Thank you.
So for other important information about our vibrant community, please see your order of service. And if you're on our email list, please check our monthly newsletter and weekly announcements in your email box. Whatever brought you to this place at this hour, we welcome you. May you find something you need, and may you leave richer in spirit than when you arrived.
As we light our chalice today, let us remember that the divine flame glows strongly within each one of us, within each body. This light cannot be diminished, and the light within our own bodies join together so that we might illuminate the world. Please join me now in singing the words to lighting our chalice, the symbol of our faith. I invite you now to please stand as you are willing or able for our call to worship found in our order of service. We gather this morning present in our bodies.
We gather this morning giving thanks for the bodies which bring us together.
Our eyes, our ears, our mouths, our noses, and our very skin radiate with goodness, ready to receive and to give blessing.
We gather to celebrate this goodness and to share it with the world around us.
With thankful minds, souls, and bodies, we gather this morning.
May it be so. Blessed be.
Our opening hymn is found in our gray hymnal, number 360, Here We Have Gathered.
Circle of kinship,
Please be seated. And do we have any little ones to come forward? The time for all ages? Are they? You think they're ready? Okay. So I'll come get my little chair ready. Good morning, Amanda. How you doing today? Good. Good. Just you. Lizzie's not coming today? That's okay. She just wants to wrestle some more, you think? Or I know she likes wrestling. Play. I understand that. Playing's fun. Well, I'm very glad you wanted to come talk with me today. So I have a story I wanted to share with you, and it's called The Happy Man's Shirt. Yeah, so it's an old tale from in Europe, where your grandma's, kind of not too far from where your grandma's from. And but there's also similar stories that people have told in the Middle East and in Russia, places like that. So it's a story about a young prince. And this prince was never happy. He never smiled. What do you think about that? Yeah, he's grumpy a lot. That's not a real fun way to be, is it? So, no. So the prince's father, the king, was really worried about this. And he tried all sorts of things to make the prince smile. He threw parties, he gave him things, he had people try to tell him jokes, and he would not smile. And so one day, the king found someone who was a wise person, this wise old woman, and said, "Do you have any ideas how I can make my son happy?" And she said, "Well, this is a little different, but why don't we try to find a happy person, and then we'll bring that person's shirt to your son." And that's a little different, isn't it? And then all the happiness that's in that shirt will kind of envelop and nourish your son, kind of like a big cape enfolding him. And the king thought, well, I've tried everything else. Let me try this. So the king sent people throughout the whole kingdom looking for someone who was the happiest person. And it wasn't easy. There were people, do you think people like to complain sometimes? Yeah, I think we all know that. Some of us like to complain sometimes too, right? And they couldn't find someone who was always happy. There were people who had too many things or not enough things. People who had too much work or not enough work. People who were too hungry or people who weren't hungry, who weren't full enough. People who were just too tired or people who had too much sleep. Now they were about to give up until they found a farmer who was out weeding his garden. I know you like playing in a garden, don't you? Yeah, that is fun, yes. And so they talked to this man, and they saw him, and he said, well, I would love to talk. I could use a break from gardening. It can get kind of hard sometimes. And so the king's representatives talked to him, and he gave them just some plain carrots to eat. And the farmer said, this is such a beautiful day. You just couldn't wish for anything more. Now, the king's representatives weren't really certain about this. They said, there isn't anything more you want? Maybe a bigger house or fancier food or anything like that? He said, no, life is pretty good. I'm happy the way things are. And they kept pressing him and said, isn't there anything at all you want or that you wish for? And he said, no.
I just wish for more stuffies.
More stuffies. What's a stuffy? Is it like a stuffed animal? Yes. Oh, I hear your mom saying yes. Well, stuffies are fun, and I still have a couple stuffies had for many years too. So that's not much to wish for. So the king's representative said, "You are just the person we have been looking for. We've been asked to bring the shirt from the happiest person in our kingdom to give to the prince so that he'll be happy. He can just feel your happiness." And then the man looked down and laughed at them and said, "I don't even own a shirt." What do you think about that?
Because he does not even have a washer.
He may not have a washer, yeah. I know. It'd be kind of hard to wash the shirt, so why do you need one? So,
Clean a shirt.
yes, clean shirt. So, I think the story really tells us about where does happiness come from?
Your heart.
Absolutely, Amanda. You are so smart. It comes from your heart. Yes. It doesn't come from all the things we have or, all these objects or things we can buy. It comes from our own heart. So, well, you are such a smart young woman. I appreciate you coming and talking with me today. So, all right, well, I will see you maybe in Coffee Fellowship in a little bit, okay? Thank you. Now, I didn't quite finish that little story because Amanda is so wise. She already knew everything, right? The king's representatives returned to the king and said, "You have to make your own happiness," right? Everyone has to make their own happiness. So we have come to the time of our service for a ritual and sacred sharing where we share our own joys and sorrows and our concerns and milestones. Now, we light candles this week. We first light a candle for Vanessa's cousin, who has been in critical condition in the hospital. We light a candle for everyone impacted by the epidemic of gun violence and the ongoing movement to eradicate it. For the continuing struggle for civil rights in Iran. For all areas of violence around the globe, and especially in the Sudan and the war in Ukraine. Now, at this time, you are invited to come forward. If you would like to do so, you may fill out a prayer card on the wall over here. You may light your own candle of joy or concern or celebration, or you may also drop a stone in our shared water. We now light a few more candles for the things we hold in our own hearts this morning, which remain unspoken, and also for those who are joining us virtually to honor what is in their hearts as well. I invite us now into a time of quiet rest, meditation, or prayer. We will follow the sound of the singing bowl into the silence. And as we are in this silence, I invite you to sit, to breathe deeply, and to breathe in and out what feels like at the center of who you are today, and to let your body be filled with the breath of life and with joy. After a time of silence, Anne will then share with us with our musical meditation.
For today's wisdom reading, we have selections from Sing the Body Electric by Walt Whitman. And Whitman's poem uses binary language when speaking about humans, and as we hear it today, we hope we may take his words from so long ago and hear them with words open to people of all genders. I sing the body electric. The armies of those I love engirth me, and I engirth them. They will not let me off till I go with them, respond to them, and discorrupt them, and charge them full with the charge of the soul. Was it doubted that those who corrupt their own bodies conceal themselves? And if those who defile the living are as bad as they who defile the dead? And if the body does not do fully as much as the soul, And if the body were not the soul, what is the soul? The love of the body of man or woman balks account. The body itself balks account. That of the male is perfect, and that of the female is perfect. The man's body is sacred, and the woman's body is sacred. Each belongs here or anywhere, just as much as the well-off, just as much as you. Each has his or her place in the procession. All is a procession. The universe is a procession with measured and perfect motion. If anything is sacred, the human body is sacred.
With today's message, we're going to take a little trip through history, and some of this historical trip might be familiar to some of you. It might be new to others. So we're going to start back in ancient Greece, about 400 years before the life of Christ. Now, I'm sure most of us have heard of Plato, right? The philosopher who has influenced Western thought, I think, far more than many of us could realize. Now, one aspect of Plato's writing was a dualistic separation of body and spirit. Now, ancient Greece, if we know any of that history, was a very patriarchal society. So this dualistic separation included a hierarchical approach as well. Men were associated with the spirit and with mind and rationality. They were up here. Below them were women who were associated with their bodies and with emotions and being irrational. Yes, thank you. Now, this mindset, this belief, provided a foundation for men having control over women, especially in the legal sense. Bodies were seen as things to be controlled by men and by the rational minds that men possessed. Now let's continue our journey to about 800 years later, and we are in North Africa, in the hotbed of the Roman Empire. Augustine of Hippo, a town in North Africa, converted to Christianity as a young man, and he eventually emerged as the leading theologian of the Western Church and has influenced Western society in limitless ways. Now, we have a large amount of Augustine's writings. He was a typical male in the Roman Empire who inherited the beliefs of Platonic dualism and this hierarchical approach. Augustine took those beliefs that men were rational beings and associated with the mind and spirit, and that women were irrational and tied to emotions and their bodies and limited by them. And he interpreted the Bible through that lens. He went on to create the theology of original sin, which states that sin is intimately connected with our bodies, and especially women's bodies. Now, even during Augustine's day, there were religious leaders who believed that bodies were not corrupt or sinful, but instead were a gift from the divine. The first British theologian, the Celtic thinker Pelagius, was at the forefront of this alternate theology. He believed that a person was a whole person, mind, body, and spirit, and the whole person was born in goodness. And this applied to all genders equally. Now, I'm sure, as many of us have already surmised, that when we look at modern times, Augustine's ideas about dualism and women and men became dominant. How many times have we heard the stereotype that women are irrational? Yes. How many times have we experienced the limitations that have been placed on women's bodies? I heard a fascinating interview a few weeks ago with Catherine Switzer, who, in the year I was born, became the first woman to officially run the Boston Marathon. And I think growing up, that just seems like, yeah, of course she did. You know, all these women can run this. I don't want to run that far, but I really support anyone who wants to. And so in the year 1967, when she did this, she dealt with verbal abuse and was widely denounced for doing things to her body that were unnatural to women's bodies, doing harm to her body, because women's bodies just weren't supposed to do that kind of athletic endeavor. And I think these years later, we know that's just not true, right? It's Augustine's interpretation of Platonic dualism still influencing our society. Now, we could spend the rest of our time together this morning talking about all the limitations that the Western world has placed on women's bodies. We know especially that we are in the midst of a time when mostly male legislatures are imposing severe restrictions on women's bodies, believing that women do not know how to care for their own bodies. Yet, even in the midst of these things, throughout history, there have been countless people in the Western world who understood that we are whole people. There have been countless people throughout the Western world who have seen the goodness in the whole person. Our reading today from part of Whitman's well-loved poem, I Sing the Body Electric, it's a celebration of all bodies. Now, this was written in 1855, before the Civil War, during a time when laws enshrined slavery against certain bodies. A time when indigenous bodies were massacred and indigenous children stolen from their families. A time when just a few select men, mostly property owners, had legal power over all other bodies. And yet Whitman celebrated all bodies. Now, even without all the legal situations surrounding bodies in today's world, and especially certain bodies, the inheritance from Platonic dualism is pervasive in the mindset of our society. So many people just don't like their bodies. They are not happy with them. They don't see them as integral with their entire being or as something to celebrate. Now, one of the best books I've read in the past couple years is The Body is Not an Apology. The Body is Not an Apology. It is written by the Black queer activist and poet Sonia Renee Taylor. She writes about how our society teaches us that bodies are never good enough, especially when they don't fit a, quote, norm, right? Which tends to be thin, white, and young. And we are taught that we should apologize for our very bodies, to apologize for the very space that we exist in. Now, I want each of us to spend just a few moments thinking about when we may have apologized for our bodies. Perhaps for their size, the natural process of aging, or especially individuals whose bodies have not been perceived as the norm. And let's spend also a few moments thinking about if we've not been in the habit of apologizing for our own bodies, have there been times that we have judged the bodies of others? If people are constantly being judged for their bodies or having to apologize for their bodies, how can these bodies possibly be seen as good, as a blessing, as divine gift? Modern theologians have continued the work of the 4th century British theologian Pelagius, seeing the body as original blessing, not original sin. The Episcopal priest and theologian Matthew Fox wrote a wonderful book entitled Original Blessing. Now, Fox in this writing went far beyond seeing our bodies as a blessing. He extended this to the creation of our existence, everything. All the universe is a blessing. Everything we see throughout these beautiful windows. He offers the foundation of the creation myths from the biblical narrative. He writes about these stories that when God created everything, the cosmos, creatures and humanity, that it was declared good. Everything created in goodness. Fox writes that all creatures, all humans, every body is filled with beauty. He states, do not confuse beauty with beautiful. Beautiful is a human judgment. Beauty is all. The difference is everything. Beauty has to do with seeing all of life as a blessing. All bodies are a beautiful gift of the divine. Bodies of all genders, of all sizes, of all colors, of various forms of abilities. Each beautiful body is a blessing. Now, I'll close today's message with a greatly loved poem, or part of a prayer that I have appreciated for many years. It's the beginning of a traditional Navajo prayer entitled Walk in Beauty. In beauty I walk. With beauty before me I walk. With beauty behind me I walk. With beauty above me I walk, with beauty around me I walk. It has become beauty again. However we might walk, we all walk in different ways, let us go forth knowing that each one of us is filled with beauty. And let us go forth seeing the beauty in each person we meet. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
flesh grow, alone is my home.
Thank you so much for that absolutely beautiful musical selection. On the third Sunday of each month, we are having a generosity moment where one member of our community will share about what they love about Piedmont UU Church and why they support this church. Now this week, Karen Haig, who led our generosity team last fall, will speak during our generosity moment. So Karen?
Thank you. Yes, I want to share what brought me to Piedmont and why I stay. After leaving my denomination and wandering in the wilderness for about 3 years, Rich and I took a risk one Sunday morning. We came to this sanctuary which truly looked and felt like a sanctuary. These windows, with their view of the trees stretching out before me, I fell in love immediately. In worship, I was not told what to believe. That morning, a couple dozen squirmy children, happy children, spread across this floor and participated in the service. There was laughter and puppets and music and meditation and coffee. And the music and the choir filled this hall with what I call the other kind of prayer. Amen. And after hearing the sermon, I felt like I'd been to a therapy session. My soul was lifted, and I felt joy at being here, even on a Sunday morning that I had gotten used to. And I was ready to just take on the world that week. And then somewhere in there, the assistant said, "Whatever brought you to this place, your presence is a gift to us." I had never heard that before. And my heart stopped. And I knew I was welcome in my new home. And I wanted to know more about these people and this faith. Rich and I joined in 2010. I was so burned out from my experiences at my last church that I asked not to be put on any committees. And I think everybody really took me seriously because no one ever asked me for 10 years. I assisted here and there, but I really didn't get involved in the life of the church. Then the pandemic hit, and I felt called to help Piedmont friends work our way through this. And now I'm on many committees, even the board. I relearned the third and fourth principles of all UUs: acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. A free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And I found this meme, which I think explains exactly why I feel a beloved community here and why I decide to stay each week and why I'm compelled to share my time and my talents. You read books and don't burn them. You embrace science. You are willing to change your mind when new information becomes available. You understand that most issues aren't black and white. You believe in true equality for all people. You like to share. You embrace cooperation. You respect others' rights. You believe culture and the arts have value. You care for the planet and all of its life. Thank you for accepting me into your community and helping me learn about you and this faith so many years ago. The more I learn, the more I am impressed with the depth of talent and kindness and, yes, beauty in this place. Now I enjoy meeting each of you and working with you for justice in this world. Whatever brought you to this place, you are a gift to me. I'm looking forward to the future. Forward together.
Thank you, Karen. Now, let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. This month, we're sharing our offering plate with the Caparis Victims Assistance Network, or CVAN. And in 1982, CVAN was created as the place and the voice for battered women and their children in Cabarrus County. CVAN's mission is to provide safety, shelter, and support for battered women and their children, and to actively work to end domestic violence in our community. We ask that you place your gift in the baskets as they make their way around the room, or you can wait and drop it into one of the baskets as you leave our space. And you're always welcome to give online at puuc.org or by texting PUUC at the number 73256. Today's offering will now gratefully be received.
The baskets are overflowing today. We give thanks for all the generosity that contributes to what we hold in these baskets that help share beauty throughout our world. At this time, I invite you to please stand as you are willing or able for our closing hymn found in our teal hymnal, number 1053, How Could Anyone? And we'll sing it through 3 times.
Anyone ever tell you
Before we extinguish our chalice, I offer thanks for all the many volunteers who've helped make our worship service possible. We also ask that before you leave today, if you will please take your hymnals and place them back on the cart near the piano. That will be a big help. Now let us take a moment to give thanks as we do each Sunday, either in our hearts or with words, for the things for which we are thankful today. Mom, visiting from Germany, yes.
Newly cleaned windows.
Newly cleaned windows. Jeff and Denise, thank you. Yes. The choir. Amen. Okay, Brian says the beauty that is his wife, Isabel. Yes.
Thanks for making us look bad.
Okay. And some of the other men feel like they're looking a little bit bad for not saying that about their wives. So,
Actually, C-Van has a store where you can buy things for $4 and it goes to that cause, which is wonderful. It's in Concord. It says an online store? No. Oh, this is the store.
CVAN, our 50/50 shared plate partner, has a store in Concord where you can buy things for $4. So,
Really
definitely.
nice store.
Nice things. Bless you. Thankful for their work.
For listening to each other and our listening circles.
Yes. Thanks for listening for each other and for the listening circles coming up.
Thanks for this congregation and the peace that comes from being here.
Thanks for this congregation and the peace that comes from being here.
Partly cloudy days.
Yes, partly cloudy days, absolutely.
Dry days.
Dry days. Rainy days. Let's cover it all. Let's go ahead and say sunny days too. We got it all covered. So. Well, we give thanks for all these things and so much more that we hold in our hearts, for which we are grateful today. Now receive now this blessing written by Gary Kowalski. Go in peace, speak the truth, give thanks each day. Respect the earth and her creatures, for they are alive like you. Care for your body. It is a wondrous gift. Live simply, be of service. Be guided by your faith and not your fear. Go lightly on your path. Walk in a sacred manner. We now extinguish our chalice, but we carry its light, its warmth, and its meaning with us until we meet again. May we go in peace, believe in peace, create peace wherever we wander. May it be so.